Welcome to Burning Eyes Tech, guys. Today's topics is safe attachments and safe links. In today's lesson, which is episode 13, we're going to be explaining exactly what safe attachments are and what safe links are, and also where or how exactly we can go about configuring these great features. Now, what is the safe attachments and safe links features, or what are they? Well, these are actually features that comes with 365 for the most part, but they generally don't work by default. You as the administrator are going to have to go and turn these features on and go and configure them for the most part to actually get these things to work. Traditionally, on premises, you would have your own antivirus, your own anti-spam and all that, working for you. These days, if you've got 365, you don't actually need that. Obviously, it'll be nice to have an extra layer of security, but if you've got 365, all of this gets done automatically for you. There's all kinds of security features and safety features working for you in the cloud that will actively scan your emails, scan your attachments, look for any suspicious attachments, any suspicious links. It does all of this for you automatically in the background. How cool is that? You just need to go and turn it on. So the first topic here is, what is the safe attachments feature? Well, this is actually something in Microsoft Defender, but in Microsoft Defender for Office 365, not the one that's on your PC. This is the one that you get in the cloud. Now, Microsoft Defender has actually been something that's been around for quite some time. And more recently on Windows 10, when they released Windows 10, Defender is now a full-blown antivirus. So it does a lot more than what it used to do in the past. The same applies in the cloud. So safe attachments is one of the benefits or features you get with Microsoft Defender for Office 365. Provides additional layer of protection for email attachments that have already been scanned by anti-malware protection and Exchange Online protection. In other words, the traditional EOP, as some of you guys might know it. Now, when you've got the safe attachment going for you, in other words, it's turned on in your company, it's basically going to go ahead and check out your attachments in your mails. Well, in this case, maybe in your Teams now. This is actually mainly used for email, but it's going to go check your attachments out before you get to open them. It's going to go and open them someplace else, someplace safe. This is normally referred to as an isolated hypervisor environment, basically a sandbox. You can think of it as a bomb box. So it's going to go and trigger these attachments, basically go and detonate them, I think is the term Microsoft uses it. It detonates them. It's just going to go and check them out if there's anything fishy or suspicious going on. And if they all check out, you will get this mail with this attachment, or you'll get the attachment in Teams. But if it looks suspicious, you will not get it. It's going to remove the attachment. You actually get to choose what happens. So in most cases, it'll just remove the attachment and you'll get the mail without the attachment, or you'll just not get the mail at all. So somewhere along the line, there's probably going to be some sort of quarantine involved. It's either going to quarantine just the attachment, which was in the initial mail, or it's going to just quarantine the whole mail off the bat. So that's basically what safe attachments is going to do in a nutshell. It's going to scan your email. It's going to check your Teams. If someone sends you an email with an attachment or sends you an attachment on Teams, it's going to check it out before you get to check it. If it seems suspicious or dangerous, in other words, when it detonates it and it sees, oh, there's something going on here, you're not going to get that attachment. Now, should you be using this in an email side instead of on the Teams side, I have seen this could take up to 30 seconds for you to actually get that mail. So as soon as you try and open the mail, it could take up to 30 seconds to actually scan an email. Doesn't mean it will. In most cases, it takes like 5 seconds or less, but it could take up to 30 seconds. Honestly, are you going to be complaining about 30 seconds? I would not. I would much rather be safe from ransomware and all kinds of forms of malware. Than to go and complain about a silly little timer or just waiting 30 seconds. Honestly, that's not even a choice. All right, so the next topic here, just a quick brief description as well. What is the safe links feature? Now, this is also something that you get with the Defender, well, the Defender for Office 365. You're going to configure it more or less in the same place. This is both going to be under the Security Center on 365 or Defender. I've seen sometimes when you click on the security, it actually says Defender on the actual portal itself. So we'll give you guys a demonstration of where you go and configure these two in a moment. Now, what is the Safe Links feature? It basically has a very large database of known harmful links. So if someone's going to try and send you a link in an email, or if they're going to drop a link in your Teams chat or in your Teams channels, which is harmful or known to be a phishing link, this thing is supposed to go and detect it. Now, obviously, it's not 100% accurate. It's impossible to know all the links because people out there are continuously creating new phishing sites and all that. But for the most part, it should detect majority of these links. So if someone gives you a link one way or another, whether it's in your email, whether it's in your team somewhere, it's going to go and compare that link. This happens very, very quickly before you can comprehend. It's going to go and compare that link to its known database of fishy or suspicious links. And if it is a harmful link or suspicious link, well, you can probably guess what's going to happen. You're not going to be able to click on it, or you're not going to be able to use it. So if it's not a harmful link, well, then you can go and use it. Unfortunately, there is no safe links policy for Teams. Well, at least not by default. So you get to policies for safe links and you can go and configure them and all that on a portal, which we'll do in a moment. But by default, there is no safe links policy for your Teams. If you're going to want one for Teams, you're going to have to go onto the portal, well, the Defender portal or the security portal as they call it. You're going to have to go to safe links and you're going to have to go and set one up for yourself. Very quick and easy, but unfortunately, you're going to have to go and do that. So how or where do we actually go for the safe attachments and safe links? Where am I going to go and configure this? I've been talking about the security portal. So let me go to the security portal and show you guys what it actually looks like. And here we are on the security portal, guys. So to get to this portal, you can go to https://security.microsoft.com. I will put a little bubble in the video of the actual URL for you guys so you can see what the URL looks like. It's not exactly the same as the one you would find on the main admin center. So if you go to the main 365 admin center, you go click on security or compliance there. Those are two different portals. Now they do have a lot in common with this one. Some of these things you can find there as well. Anyway, so for now we're looking for the safe attachments and safe links feature. So that's going to be under policies and rules here on the left hand side in the navigation pane. I'm going to go click on that. Once you get here to policies and rules, you're going to go click on threat policies. That's where you'll find probably both of them. And on the threat policies, if you look here at the bottom, you'll find safe attachments and safe links. Now, I did mention that safe attachments is not actually turned on by default for your company. So you're going to have to go and click on safe attachments here and actually turn it on. Once you land on this page, what you need to go and do is where at the top on the right in the little menu bar, go click on global settings because we want to actually turn this on first. It's not going to work if you haven't turned it on. So let's turn it on by clicking on global settings. And then here's an option that says turn on Defender for Office 365 for SharePoint, OneDrive, and Microsoft Teams. Now that's what we're looking for. So go turn that sucker on, click on, and save. There you go, guys. You've just turned on safe attachments for your environment. Now, in this case, you've turned it on for Teams, but you could see that we also turned it on for SharePoint, I believe, and for OneDrive. So now it's just a matter of setting up a bunch of policies and all that, which you can do from here and all that. So let's do that. Let's create a test policy, so to speak. I'm not actually going to go and enforce it. Just want to show you what the little wizard looks like and all of that shenanigans. So I'm going to go ahead here and click on create. Going to call it something simple, just like safe attachment policy, just since this is a demonstration. Give it a description, more or less the same. And there we go. I'm just going to go ahead and click on next. For which user or users, group or groups or domain or domains do you want this to actually apply to? So you can also go and exclude specific users and groups and domains. As you can see, there's a little block at the bottom. I'm just going to choose a random user just for proof of concept. So I'm going to choose the first one in my alphabetical order here, which is Alex, I think, on the system. Just going to go click on Alex Wilbur. Next, that should suffice for now. All right, so there's about 5 options you need to be aware of when it comes to safe attachments. You can have it on this first option, which says off. Attachments will not be scanned by safe attachments. So I think that one kind of speaks for itself, the one that says off. Now, what is the second one? The second one here from the top says monitor. Deliver the message if malware is detected and track scanning results. Now, this one is basically used to go and track where malware actually goes in your organization. So if you're curious to see where this actually goes, this is a good way to basically go and troubleshoot where it's going. Just to see logs, so to speak. If you want to be a little detective and just check where stuff is going. Now, what does the third one do? Well, the third one here is called block. Block current and future messages and attachments with detected malware. So this is going to basically just full out block email with attachments or block messages of attachments coming to you at all. They're going to go straight to quarantine once this happens. And once they go to quarantine, the only person that can actually go and release them is an admin. Not even the end user will be able to go and release these messages. Only the admins can go and release them from quarantine if at all needed. Very unlikely the admin's going to want to go and do this, but if ever needed, only the admin can go and release them from quarantine. So that's basically a full out block for the most part. All future instances of this is also going to be blocked for that matter. So anything similar to this is going to also automatically be blocked in the future as well. All right, so the fourth one is replace. So what this option does is it's not going to completely block the message. So if this is an email or a message in Teams, I think an email is probably going to be the best example because normally we use safe attachments more for email. So it's not going to completely block the email. It's just going to block the attachments. So if a harmful attachment of some kind, let's say this attachment contains malware, is detected, it's going to remove the harmful attachment, but the actual message itself will still be delivered. It's going to basically inform the user that, hey, this attachment has been removed due to malware detection. But here is your message, at least what remains of it. Not that it's going to be able to help you much, no, is it? Now, once again, that attachment itself, should it be quarantined, which is probably going to be the case, only the actual admins can go and release that from quarantine. No end users. So the same as block, which was the third option, only admins can go and release it. Now, when we get to the fourth option, which is replace, the attachment itself will be quarantined, not the complete message itself, just the attachment in the message which was harmful. And just like with the full block option, the attachment itself will also be releasable only by the admins and not the end user. Now, whether you use block or whether you go and use the replace option, both of these have a chance of the scan taking quite a while. I've mentioned this in the beginning of the course as well. It could take possibly up to 30 seconds to actually go and scan your email or your attachments. It could be 5 seconds, it could be 30 seconds. But like I've said earlier, I mean, would you rather wait 30 seconds and be safe? Or would you wait 5 seconds and have a virus? I mean, honestly, I'm just going to go and choose 30 seconds. I don't feel like having to struggle over malware that I have to go and release. So, yeah, lastly, what is the fifth option here at the bottom called dynamic delivery? Well, like the name suggests, it's dynamic, which means it's quick. You would have heard me mention just a moment ago that if you go use option 3, which is block, or option 4, which is replace, both of them could potentially take a while because they're scanning the attachments. And should it find something, obviously it's going to go and quarantine the whole email or just the attachment, depending on which option you've chosen. Nonetheless, it's going to take a while. It could take anywhere up to 30 seconds. Now, what if you are a person that's receiving a lot of emails? Or if this is a client or a user of yours that's receiving a lot of emails and they absolutely do not have the time to go and wait for emails to be scanned. That actually does happen in some companies, believe it or not. Now, if you are one of these people or your client or user are one of these people that absolutely cannot afford to wait for this email to first be scanned, well, why not use dynamic delivery? So you obviously cannot sacrifice security. I mean, you need to scan these attachments. What if there is malware in there? Then everything's going to be tickets. So to avoid this from happening, go and choose dynamic delivery. The person's going to receive the mail immediately, except the attachments, if there are any, is just not going to be in that mail. So it's going to basically remove the attachments, scan them separately while the person gets to read the mail, if there's something to read, by the way. And then after about 30 seconds or so, the attachment is going to come through. So there might be a delay. It could take up to 30 seconds for the attachment to actually show in the mail. But in the meantime, if there's any text, if there's an actual message that needs to be read in the email, the person can do that. And normally it's not going to, I would say it's not going to be read in more than, in less than 30 seconds. It's probably going to take you more than 30 seconds to read the average email. So while you read the email, the attachment is probably going to pop up before you're even done reading that email. So that's what the fifth option does, guys. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna finish this. I'm gonna just choose something random. Let's say monitor. I suppose I just can't leave it on the defaults here. I'm probably gonna have to go and click on enable redirect. I don't think it's gonna allow me to proceed without that. So I think with that in mind, let me just paste a random user's email here. So I'm just gonna go and use Alex Wilbur, which we saw earlier. Just gonna type in that person's email here. Here we go. And I'm going to go ahead and click on next. All right, summary. And now I just need to go and click on submit. So there you guys have it. That's how you go and turn on safe attachments. I've shown you guys how to go and turn that on. You just go to your Defender. And now it's just a matter of clicking on submit and Bob's your uncle. There you go. If it gives you an error, just go and review your settings. Maybe you just missed an option that you configured incorrectly. Now, when it comes to the safe links side of things, for that, we're going to go back to the previous page. So I'm just going to go and cancel this one for now, since we've seen how that works. Let's go back to policies and rules, threat policies, and there we go, safe links. Here you're going to have to, same as safe attachments, going to have to go click on create. You're going to have to go and give it a name. So I'm just going to say safe links test. Next. Like usual, choose a user, same as before. So I'm just going to choose Alex, same as before. Okay, click on next. Here we have an option to go and choose some of the protection settings. So by default, you can see a lot of the stuff is actually turned off here. So you can go choose here where it says on. URLs will be rewritten and checked against a list of known malicious links when the user clicks on the links. So that's the same as what I've said initially in the beginning of this video, where it basically has a large database, a repository of known links which are known to be suspicious. So I'm going to go and turn that sucker on. This one here for Microsoft Teams. You can see that one specifically just in general. This is for Teams. That's the one we're especially concerned about right now since we're doing a Teams course. It's going to go and do the same thing, except this is more for Teams now. There's a bunch of extra options you can go and play with if you would like to go and look at them. Go click on next. How would you like to notify your users? Use the default notification text or use custom notification. So you can go and add a little je ne sais quoi to it. You can go and customize it and add a little message there. It just informs them more politely or more rudely, depending on how you want to go and do it. I'm normally lazy. I just prefer to go and use the default, but that is up to you and your company. So if your company would like to go and customize this, they can go and do that at their own discretion. I'm just going to go ahead and click on next. Once again, just a summary of everything here, and now it's just a matter of clicking on submit, the same as with safe attachments. Alright guys, so that concludes today's theory. We have explained what safe attachments are. We have explained what safe links are. We have demonstrated what they can be used for and how you can go about actually creating these policies. And that pretty much is it for today. I hope this has been informative for you guys. If it has been, please give the video a like. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to the channel. Otherwise, you will not be informed of when I upload new content for this series or any other series for that matter. And with all of that being said, I will see you guys next time on episode 14. Bye, guys. If you love me, let me know. If you don't, then let me.